and begin to feel the link, because there will be a link coming from upstairs that touches all of us. And there is a sense of teamwork on both sides, upstairs and downstairs, and also our invisible family and invisible friends. All of them join with us, because this is an occasion that they love to share. So our spiritual family loves to share all the different occasions that can bring us into a sense of attunement, heart and mind, and then to gain a sense also of the strengthening of our experience within our own sense of who am I. So we'll just have a short meditation to bring us together. It is as if we are surrounded by the many levels of our own existence, our state of being. And in this, we feel the resonance, the harmonic belonging of the family, the spiritual family, the family of like-minded and like-hearted beings that are in incarnation in these times, because we belong here now. But we are here and now because of our belonging in other times, in other incarnations. So there is the thread of history, the history of yesterday, and then there is the thread of history, the history of tomorrow, which comes through our thoughts and our words, our meditations, and then our commitments into action. Now, as this link comes, it enters into the body. There's a deepening of our breathing. And there is a flow of light, a flow of color, but very gentle, very subtle, very pastel color, as if it is a breeze, an energy that flows through our physical body, our subtle bodies, through the nerve system, through the gland systems, through all the different functions and levels. And then it cleans it out, really. It just brings like fresh air, fresh spiritual air. Okay. So what is so fascinating is that while we may not have seen each other for however long, the continuity of belonging is constant. There is no separation. And while in our lives many things go up and down, and the world creates its own opportunities and challenges, we're here because it is important, because there is a significance. There is, we say, a higher reason and a deeper purpose. We are here because we can receive, of course, but we can contribute. And it's our contribution that that we're interested in. The value of an incarnation in these times is the awakening into a sense of belonging, and a sense also of being included, and also a sense of it is essential. Now, what is so interesting is that our life continues to renew and reinstate itself constantly and continually. So that even as time goes by and we go through the ages and stages, the impulse for renewal, for regeneration, for a kind of rebirthing that is continuously, is ever present. And what it is interesting also, when we look at the experience of our birth, we often see the working through the pressures of our birth, the stresses and the shadows of a previous death. So that birth itself is a form of healing of the history in our incarnations. It is as if each time we incarnate, we enter into the continuity of consciousness more fully and more completely, so that gradually there is the light of our lives, and the shadows of previous deaths are dissolved and evaporate. Now we're interested to appreciate, to observe the way in which we are able to reconnect with the very moment of our conception. And if we imagine the energy that is from the base chakra flowing along the spine, and gradually it flows so that there is a sense of expansion. And even as we breathe, the spine extends very gently, And then gradually it reaches to the neck and to the base of the skull. And when the energy reaches the base of the skull, it reaches what we call a 0 point, where there is a perfect equilibrium between the anchor to the center of the sun and to the center of the earth. And as you feel the 0 point, it is as if the head, the cranium, begins to float on the top of the spine. So the head begins to literally lift off the atlas and the axis. And as it reaches a point, very, very gently, but very much a sense of gentle expansion, a gentle freeing, a gentle floating. And then there is the flow from the base of the spine and goes straight into the crown. And as the connection between the base and the crown happens, this is the point of conception. And as we feel this point, it's a sense of humor, a sense of warmth, a sense of light or delight. It's a sense of yes, please, or yes to life. And it releases the breathing. Now, this awakens the crown chakra, which is the hologram of the chakra system. And as the crown chakra awakens, the chakra system unfurls like the leaf of a fern plant. And so the rainbow unfurls from the crown to the brow, from the brow to the throat, from the throat to the heart, from the heart to the solar plexus, from the solar plexus to the second chakra, from the second chakra to the base. And the rainbow of our chakra system unfolds, and the breathing releases and deepens, and the sense of the warmth of being unfolds. And as the chakra system unfolds in its primary colors, so we bring light into each of the centers. We bring light into the base chakra, that it is cleared and cleansed and brought into complete balance and harmony. And it is anchored in the frequency of its red. And the light enters into the second chakra, and it cleans and clears all shadows, all tensions, until it is anchored in the frequency of its orange. The light enters into the solar plexus. Then it clears and cleanses. It anchors it into the frequency of the yellow spectrum. The light enters into the heart center, and it clears, it frees, it purifies. And it is anchored into the frequency of the green chakra, of the green frequency of the rainbow of light. And so into the throat chakra. And the white light clears the throat chakra of all the shadows, and it is anchored into the frequency of blue that brings it into complete balance and into the indigo center of the brow. The pure white light clears and cleanses, and the indigo anchors in the complete balance within its spectrum. And so then it links again to the crown. And the white light purifies and cleanses, and then we feel the violet light anchoring the hologram of the crown. As we anchor in the crown, so there is the link along the silver cord to the higher self, to the plan, the pattern of every system, of every structure, the purpose of our incarnation. And there is the flow of light, of the pure frequencies of all the chakra system, the rainbow, through the silver cord. And it is as if we remember ourselves, as if ourself remembers us in a way. So each of the chakras is like a prayer wheel. And as we awaken in the whole chakra system, it's as if we are spinning the prayer wheels. And so we want to encourage our own insight. It's a time when teachers set an example without too many words. And the insight comes through our own awakening, through our own spiritual opinions in that sense. And so we are inspired, certainly, by the wisdom of others. But there is a quality of inspiration, intuition, imagination. That is a longing. It is like a longing within us to find expression. We need like-minded companions. We need to be able to talk about the ideas and ideals that we discover or we uncover. Now, if we are here now, we belong to these times. It means we are a part of the history out of which these times have emerged. And it also means that the unfinished business, if we think of it that way, of history, that is awakening within mankind at this time, that there is within us individually and then collectively the potential, at least the potential, for the healing of history and the transforming of all the shadows and of all the areas of man's inhumanity. Now, our body is like an instrument, so that all the joints and all the chakras and all the organs and all the systems, they are part of the instrument of awareness and the instrument of understanding and insight, the instrument of meaning, and also are a part of the instrument through which we contribute. And so gradually we begin to feel the sense of the harmonic resonance of the network of our belonging. And in this network, we contribute all that we have and that we have to share. And we also bring our state of asking, our state of need. And through this network, the answers will come to us, be drawn into our lives, into our situations. And this is a vital, living, interdimensional organization. It is an organism of intelligence. And what is so interesting is that as we search and research in our science and medicine, we are seeking to uncover the laws that manage life. And the laws of life are animated, are intelligent. The laws of life are state of being, are beings who hold these energies and maintain them in a continuous and constant presence and focus. And these beings are the spirits of life, are the angels that guard and guide us, are the energies within trees and flowers and plants and mountains and rivers. And so in the way in which we question life, which we search into life for answers, we are in exchange with law that is intelligent, with beings through whom the law is maintained and manifests, that are the angels with whom we walk and talk and share our existence. They are the devas, the nature beings, the elemental forces of fire and air and earth and water. And it is interesting that every organ in our body has its own intelligence, its own personality in a way, that we can talk to our body, but we can talk to it as an intelligent being. We can talk to the heart. We can talk to the liver. We can talk to the intestines. We can talk to the kidneys. And we can talk to them as we visualize that their level of intelligence will work to the fulfillment of their function, even to the point finally of our death. There are no extremes to the organs, as if it would stop them being intelligent and active. They would function to their maximum capacity to the very moment at which there is the evaporation from the body. So we are filled with intelligence, filled with the energy that links our physical body to the intelligence of nature, to the angels and the devas and the beings. And this is a sense of warmth. It is a sense of humor. It is a sense always of yes. It's a sense of yes. And what is so interesting is that the period of our gestation in the womb remembers and reviews itself continuously. Every moment of tension, every pressure that has occurred when we were in the womb is registered at that point in our development, in our systems, in our point of growth. And at every point where there is, it could be a pressure in the world, it could be a tension in our family, it could be a shock to our mother or our father, it could be an environmental disaster. These are points of stasis, or as we say, a static point. And these static points unfold in our life like a calendar. At the point in our gestation, it unfolds in a point in our incarnation. And at the same time, as we work with the silver cord and the pattern in our higher self, so every one of these points of hesitation dissolves. And it is a yes to life that is encouraged each time, a yes to life that is awakened, a yes to life that releases the what we call the stasis, the static, into flow. And in some way, sometimes very obvious, but mostly very subtle. And this frees the relationships. It frees the level of exchange. It frees the energy that we bring through our own focus and our own attention into the areas where we feel concerned in the world. And so we do another little incarnation, a little meditation on this incarnation, just for a moment now. And so now I visualize. I remember energetically, I remember as an impulse that awakens of the first heartbeat in my gestation. I remember the first sound through the energy fields of my mother. I remember the first light. I remember the moment of my engagement to the cervix, to be drawn into the pathway of my birth. I remember being drawn through the pathway. In one way, I'm pushed, in another way, I'm attracted. And I'm drawn towards the light. And at the moment of my birth, there is a welcome. There is a breath as air enters my lungs for the first time. And I'm placed at my mother's breast. And the cord of our connection gradually ceases to beat. And the cord is cut and I'm free. I'm in my own incarnation. I'm at my mother's breast. The atmosphere is warm. There is aroma in the air that is beautiful. There is music, there is sound that is joyful to my ear. I feel the touch. I feel the taste. It is as if I'm awakening in the renewal of the complete and full, very gentle, very subtle, and yet very complete. Yes, yes to life. Now we can ask ourselves a question of where in my body do I feel any hesitation in this incarnation? It can be in an organ or in a joint. It could be in a chakra center. It could be wherever it is. Where in my body is there any hesitation within my incarnation? And then wherever it is, which in our arms and our legs, which joint is it near? Is it near the wrist or the elbow or the shoulder or the ankle or the knee or the hip? And what is the color of that joint? The joints go from the red in the ankle to the orange in the knee to the yellow in the hip to green in the wrist to blue in the elbow to indigo in the shoulder and to violet in the jaw. Which joint is it near? What is the color of that joint? And let's breathe in that color. And as we breathe in the color, what is the emotion? What is the feeling? And as we experience the feeling, which memory does it bring back from our life? Which memory returns? Whichever one it is. And what is the message of that memory? The memory from our childhood would have a message that is connected with why we are here right now and why we are in this incarnation. Now, the point is that there is importance in every single moment of our incarnation. Nothing is ever wasted. Nothing is left to chance. Nothing is forgotten in its essence. And at some point, it contributes. It is already preparing us as if life is never by chance. It is a surprise in a way as it happens, and yet our life is already prepared for every aspect of our existence, so that every experience is used and reused. It is, in a way, it is digested and it is assimilated. And then we are enriched, or we are more whole or complete. And so then let's link to the second chakra, which is the area of our intimacy. The first and second and third chakras together, really, but focused through the second chakra, the area of our relationships. And we bring light into our second chakra. And then we see where does it awaken in my body? And which sense does it connect to in this area? Does it connect through touch or taste or smell or sound or light? And then which memory does it bring back or bring forward from our life? And what is the message of that memory? What does it tell us? And what it tells us will be relevant for why we are here, where we are now, in this incarnation and also in this moment in time. Now, the value is not so much that we are going to realize something very specific, but more the very process of working in this way frees the flow. The experiencing of it is what is active. So that there is, as it were, an awakening within us that feels normal, natural. Perhaps when we look back in a few weeks' time, we could see a difference. But to be more fully ourselves does not need phenomena. It is more an affirmation of belonging, being at home, of being where we are, where we are meant to be in a one way, but where we can contribute, where our very existence is an active state of value and contribution into the world. And so there is the gradual and continuous renewing of the moment of conception throughout the moments of gestation, throughout the experience of our birth, of the flow from being in a fluid medium into breathing for the first time, touch for the first time, smell for the first time, taste for the first time. There is no yesterday as if it could be remembered or forgotten, but the realization of the living moment, of being here and of being here now. And what is so interesting is, as we say yes to life in this subtle and regenerative way, we are also healing history. And in many ways, we incarnate into the unanswered prayers of our families of origin. We carry the virtues of our heritage, but we also carry some of the anxieties, the shame, the blame. And all of this, even into the DNA of our cellular memory. There is the acknowledgement of the acceptance of the sacrifice, of the virtues, of the happiness of our heritage. And the dissolving of the shadows within our family that are drawn into the light of renewal, which is the light of forgiveness, remembered and brought into the whole, realized and brought into sharing. And so the shadows of the polarity that come through the polarity of the male and the female family histories are dissolved. They are absorbed and transformed. We are the answer. We are the healing of the unanswered prayers of our heritage. And there is a sense of freedom that comes in this. That enters into the world today. The world of prejudice and the world of superstition and judgment. We heal it in ourselves. We heal it it is healed in our heritage. And we are receptive into the spiritual impulses of the cosmic teachers of our belief systems. So there is a Christ within us, a Muhammad within us, a Buddha within us. There is a Krishna within us. There is a universal beingness, a belonging. And each of these pathways anchors us as individuals, but joins us universally. And so we have a short meditation to just bring this into balance. So we are a world in miniature. We are a universe in miniature. The memory of all creation is in the memory of every cell in our body. The fullness of all existence is within the minuteness at the very source of everything. Life remembers itself moment by moment as the cells divide and renew, as we take each breath and we breathe in the light and the energy and the impulse of life. And as we breathe out, we release. And we recycle and make space for a new inspiration. Okay, so now how do our bodies feel now? How is our mood? Okay, so are there any questions at this point?
There is one question in the chat, Peter,
Yeah.
from Heather. Heather is asking, is there a sense of greater involvement now of the divine in the evolvement of humanity?
Thank you. I would ask her to change the question from a question into an affirmation. So we say, then there is a sense of the divine entering into the incarnation, into life now. So her question is a sharing of her insight. And thank you. Now, what is so affirmative, if you like, in her question is the impulse behind the light and color work that Ronald Beasley developed. And behind the light and color work are the Michael and Gabriel forces. And these are the archangelic forces that manage light in in the stars, in the sharing of light, in the awakening of light, in the transformation of light. And in these times where we have the surfacing of so many of the forces of man's inhumanity that we know about. What is in a way, it's interesting, but it's awful also. If there was no news program about all that is happening in the world, it's still happening in the world. And we are still experiencing it. We're not experiencing it through our news and our television. We're experiencing it directly and energetically. And so in these times, the Michael and Gabriel forces are more intensely active. In a way, as it says in the great invocation, to seal the door where evil dwells, it says. But we say, with these forces, seal and heal the door where evil dwells. Now, there was a friend of Ronald Beasley's who worked very much with radionics and the development of equipment that can replicate all the homeopathic remedies. They can replicate virtually all the minerals, vitamins, all the drugs, but energetically and according to its frequency. And he told me that Malcolm Ray, you can look him up, RAE, and he said that he worked with clearing the parasites, like in Africa, the tsetse flies, or even mosquitoes. And I said, oh, that's all very good. They all go from the field where you've cleared them into the field of the neighbor. So what about that? And he said, they don't. He said, they cleared out of this dimension. They don't belong to this dimension. And there are times when the integrity of the dimensional filter, or the dimensional, anyway, they are filters, barriers really, but filters are broken. And then energies or beings can enter in which are out of sequence. And these are the parasites. And I thought that was really, really interesting, because in the incarnation of the Christ, so the apostles were casting out demons. A lot of their work was casting out demons, and it was as if the world was, or mankind was, being invaded by beings who were diminishing the potential of incarnation. And that the incarnation of his presence, or his light, or his team of workers, if you like, could literally release them. And of course, where do they go? Because there is no death, but there is transformation. They go to where they belong. They go to the dimension where they are able to evolve. And they enter into the incarnation of their essential purpose. So it's interesting. It is interesting to appreciate that we are working with the strengthening of our interdimensional boundaries in one way, but also with the clearing of our dimension with those forces and those beings that do not belong here. And if we realize that also this parasitic principle enters into the nature of our personalities, of our attitudes of our appetites, and also into the area of where we make the choice. We say in the brain there is a point of choice where the soul is in command. And every choice that is made when the soul is in command, it is either helpful or it is not helpful. It is not very complicated, but it is very pure. And it is also very much the measure of how much is enough. And where there is an imbalance, at the point where the soul makes its choices, where there are these forces at work that can tend to motivate in a way that is out of sequence. This is where we have addiction and compulsion. And this is where we have the enslavement to ideas and ideals that create suspicion and aggression between belief systems, where there is obvious universal accord and belonging in their origins and in their essences. And so we're working very much through our presence, through the frequency of the network of our belonging within our incarnation, to the balancing of man's inhumanity, the balancing of evil, which in English at least is live spelt backwards. And the devil is the past tense of live in English, which is helpful. Now, there is an element within our existence, within the nature of our personality and character, with our way of insight, intuition, imagination, and understanding. In other words, within our motivation, and then within our action, that places the value of every thought, of every meditation, and uses every moment of our incarnation. It leaves nothing to spare or to waste, as it were. That everything is used and used again. So that our incarnation is not just a psychoanalytic story to investigate, or even to try and go through to see the rights and wrongs, as it were. But it is a resource, it is a continuous reservoir that in a way belongs to us. And in another way, we